Good evening, and welcome to the Piper Report. So I have to go over this article here from Bullshit Man. Now, I'm a subscriber to him. He's a subscriber to me. I recommend his videos. He did one where he dissected the Benghazi and Libya scandal. He did another one where he went over the whole Seth Rich fiasco. That actually got him an endorsement and a shout out from H.A. Goodman here. This now, he did an article on the Hard News Network, which is Hard Bastards News Network, and in it, he gave me a shout out. So I really do appreciate it. I'm glad to be here because if you've been watching my channel for a while, you realize that I've been constantly saying we cannot let the corporate media continue. Independent media has to flourish, and we have to stop giving the corporate media attention and profit. That is why on my webpage I always archive news articles. So I recommend whoever does any kind of videos, to archive the corporate media websites. If you don't know how, I have a tutorial on my channel. I can show you how. It's really simple to do, but do not give the corporate media more money. Do not, in essence, fundraise for them. So in this article here, we're going to go over it. I'm going to skim through it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we're going to skim over it. And this is basically Bullshit Man's article about how it is essential for the corporate media to die, and how people in the independent media, like myself, Hard Bastard, Zuan Politicon, Bullshit Man, etc., we need to thrive. We do, because it's more important now. It's not just about one particular person. It actually is about circumventing the mainstream media, circumventing them, and actually establishing a media dominance. A dominance that focuses on the truth and not spun narratives. Not a narrative about how Trump colluded with Russia when there's no evidence about it. It's things like this that pushes the mainstream media, that pushes the corporate media to report on lies and falsehoods that have no basis in fact whatsoever. So we'll go over a little bit of the article here. Indie media were taking over and the people are waking up by Bullshit Man. Remember when the WikiLeaks Podesta emails revealed that the Democrats conspired to produce an unaware and compliant citizenry? Guess what? We are waking up, and we're not going to take your shit any longer. Independent media is taking over from the bullshit, corrupt, lamestream media. Democrats admit they conspired to produce an unaware and compliant citizenry. He is going over here what WikiLeaks revealed during the election. What's funny about this too is that if you remember during the election, if you went on Twitter to WikiLeaks homepage and you actually clicked on their comments, you will see people trying to weave a narrative that WikiLeaks is a Russian stooge, that WikiLeaks is working with Putin directly. And this is just clearly nonsensical, because what these people either don't know or what they choose to ignore is that in the past, WikiLeaks and Julian Assange actually exposed Russia. Whether you like them or not, WikiLeaks is not partisanship. WikiLeaks is unbiased. They report the truth no matter what. It doesn't matter who it attacks. They report the truth. People don't like to believe that, but that is a fact. Recently here, I'm going to go over this because Mike Pompeo, he said that WikiLeaks is essentially a terrorist organization and Assange is a bad person, which I completely disagree with at all. And I will tell you why. WikiLeaks is no different than other news outlets. Here's an example. Recently, Rachel Maddow, on her TV show, released Donald Trump's 2005 tax returns. And people were upset by it. And people were happy about it. Well, what Rachel Maddow did by releasing those tax returns on air wasn't illegal. Sure, the people who gave her the tax return, they may have violated the law in some way. They may have done something nefarious and surreptitious that gave her the tax return, and they could be charged with a crime. But Rachel Maddow herself did not break the law. The same thing can be said for WikiLeaks. Whoever gives them the material is possibly breaking the law. But WikiLeaks, as a publishing news organization, they are not. So you cannot tie their reporting that they are doing it by hacking or doing it by doing something illegal. We've seen this before with the Guardian. The Guardian reported on the Snowden leaks, and that is synonymous with what Julian Assange and WikiLeaks do. So I think it's really important to preface this video by saying that WikiLeaks is being deemed as a terrorist organization and as a group that are just bad people. And this falsehood is completely nonsensical. Mainstream media has no respect for we, the people, and what we care about. They don't report the news. They perpetrate bullshit narratives that the public has little interest in, and they fail, badly and continuously, to report on the stories we want covered. Here's proof. Here is a graph then about what the American people care about versus what the fake news media cares about. As you can see here, obviously, the media coverage is all about Russia. This is also now synonymous with during the election. I did a video a while back, I don't remember which one, but I had a picture on it or a graph on it, and news outlets CBS, ABC, and NBC, I think, they covered Trump's tape, his not sex tape, but that rant he did about sex tape, whatever, on the bus. They covered that for like 298 minutes. In contrast, they covered Hillary Clinton's WikiLeaks revelations for 13 minutes. I mean, that is a huge deviation. That is a huge differential between the two. A huge one. And not only that, Chris Cuomo from CNN, he said what's considered probably the fake news of the year. He said that it is illegal to have WikiLeaks material on your computer, to look at WikiLeaks material. To actually understand and read WikiLeaks, you have to listen to the media, he said. I wonder why. Because they would spin it a certain way, or they would omit certain information so they can still praise Hillary in a good light? Yeah. Alright, we'll scroll down a little bit here. Hard Bastard, this is his website, hardnews.network. With that, too, I have a question now here, whoever watches this video. I plan on making a website in the future, and do you know what format he uses to get the .network? Like, I know there's like WordPress, and I mean, you can find a bunch of different ones, like for where it like aligns with, I guess, for instance. When I try to find .network, the only one I can find is .net. I can't find .network, so if anyone can let me know, that'd be pretty great That'd be pretty great. But moving on. If Rachel Maddow's 20-minute long rants of her connecting dots with very little, if any, evidence doesn't put you to sleep or cause you to kick your television across the room, her horrible, cult-like presentation no doubt puts her audience in a trance-like state, ready to accept any bullshit conclusion she comes to, and she repeats it ad nauseum, day in, day out. She has been spewing Russia, Russia, Russia for 258 days so far. And this is so true. When you watch her, too, she always has that condescending smirk on her face. That smirk like she knows everything and you don't. It's like she's smarter and better than you. It's not true. I actually did a video way back in the day, and it was called Top 5 Most Biased MSNBC Reporters. And I actually had Lawrence O'Donnell at first and Rachel Maddow at second. They're both pretty close, though, in terms of their being biased and stuff like that, but Lawrence O'Donnell, he has such a punchable face, and that condescending smirk he does is even bigger than the condescending smirk Rachel Maddow does. It's kind of interesting. It seems like the people at MSNBC are trained to give that condescending smirk out, like they know better than the people they report to. And it is horrible. It is horrible. They make themselves look like arrogant idiots. Moving on. Okay, we'll go over this quick. Simple math tells me that's 7,740,000 she's been paid since the election for pushing the nothing burger Trump Russia narrative, for which there's still no direct evidence. Yet the deeply flawed investigation continues, casting its net so wide that now even Green Party leader Jill Stein is being wrapped up in it. Remember, also, that this Trump-Russia collusion bullshit narrative was concocted within 24 hours of Hillary's devastating election loss, according to the book Shattered. This was given by WikiLeaks here. A new book by Shattered by Clinton insiders reveals that Blame Russia plan was hatched within 24 hours of election loss. And this makes sense. And I'll tell you why. Because they are so arrogant with themselves, and they think they are so much better than everybody else, that the idea or the notion that they could have lost because people do not actually like them is just unheard of for them. So they have to cast blame somewhere else. They have to find a separate reason on why they lost. And if they can prove to themselves that they lost because of some nefarious foreign collusion, it makes them feel better about themselves. And in their minds, they remain winners. So instead of actually coming clean and admitting that they lost because they were horrible candidates, they ran a horrible campaign, they say that they lost because of a foreign country hacking into their election, which there's no evidence of. And it just makes them feel like they are winners. And it's sad because everyone can see through this. Everyone can see through this false story here. Yet they keep pushing it. This is only going to make their party worse off in the future. The more they do this, the more they hurt themselves. They just don't see it. Scrolling on a little bit more. So never fear. The independent media revolution is here. And we're taking over, which is oh so evident if you look at CNN's ratings. They are now so abysmal that their primetime shows draw less viewers than reruns of Yogi Bear. The largest independent media YouTube channels eclipse both the viewer count and influence the mainstream media proclaims to have. I remember I was watching Ben Shapiro on the Steven Crowder I was watching, and he was basically saying that Mark Dice, he has more views a day than some of the anchors on CNN. I mean, Mark Dice is actually now a bigger media head than a corporate media organization, which I think is just, it's crazy. I mean, it shows you how fed up people are with the corporate media. That's why it's very important. I mean, I know my channel isn't huge, but I've been pushing this story for a while that do not give in to the corporate media. Do not post their articles on your website unless you archive them first. Do not give them money. Do not give them attention. None of that stuff. You can report on what they report, but make sure the page is archived. Make sure you have your ad block on so they don't get any type of finance. So they continue to lose ratings and profits. Because when you lose profits, advertisers leave. The more profits they lose, the more advertisers leave. Never mind. Go back. So here we go. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to make a list. You could say these people are bullshit man approved. They include perspectives from all sides of politics, whatever that means. Labels are meaningless these days regardless. And I don't agree with all of them at all times, but that's precisely why I watch them. When we don't agree, I still know that they're earnest and their perspectives are honest. It is vital to hear opinions you don't agree with, otherwise you're stuck in an echo chamber. That is not just being uninformed, it's dangerous. And if you do get offended at any of their opinions, Aussie comedian Steve Hughes has some advice for you.
And then we have political correctness, which is the joy that is the other side of health and safety.
I'm not going to watch the whole thing. Sorry, bullshit man. But, you know, with this, too, is that it's important. It's important to actually talk to people that you disagree with. That's the problem with schools nowadays, is that these professors, they only want one type of political speak. There's no more free flow of ideas anymore. That has now changed, and we have to get back to our foundation. We have to be able to talk with people we disagree with. That's the only way to actually move forward. If we don't do that, we are regressing back into segregation, and segregation leads to discrimination. So here is Bullshit Man's approved indie media. Breaking news, indie media, YouTube, Hard Bastard, Hard News Network, H.A. Goodman, Zoo on Politicon, The Outer Light with Ed, and Piper Report. Again, Bullshit Man, thank you for this. And thank you for putting me on this website, harshnews.network, Mr. Hard Bastard. News, analysis, and commentary, Lionel Nation, TBTV, Mikasa Esukasa, Styx, Progressive Soapbox, Rubin Report, hardnews.network, Counter Propa, Kaylin Johnstone, The Zach Collar Affair, WikiLeaks.org, Sargon of Akkad, Winston Smith, Ideen Paladin, sorry I probably pronounced that bad, Bering, which Bering has a good segment going on with Anita Sarkeesian and Sargon, where Sargon gets arrested by a cop for what he did at the VidCom. It's pretty great. Sugar Tits, Joe Rogan Experience, Computing Forever, and then honorable mention, Jimmy Dore Show, and of course, Bullshit Man. So definitely check all these out. And yes, I agree with this article completely. And I've been saying this for a while as well, so I'm glad more people are coming to this conclusion. And as long as we actually have a common enemy, like the corporate media, it doesn't matter exactly what our political affiliation is. You could be progressive, you could be alt-right, you could be conservative, moderate, it doesn't matter. As long as your main goal is to get the truth out and not listen to the corporate media and their biased stories and their false narratives, then this is a battle worth fighting for. And this is a victory that can happen, but steps have to be taken. So definitely check out all of these, and definitely check out this article. I will post the link in the description, and I am done.